What's good, everybody? Welcome to another week of this post-review show me and myself, Lazarus, got going on. And it is a week 6 for SFL US, another action-packed week, to say the least. You know, an ether-filled week, it felt like. Both vicious blows thrown inside and out of game is going to be a good one to dissect, to say the least. We had Endemic versus UYU this week. We had, what was it? It was also... my bad here. Red Rooster versus Vortex, Rooster, and then Bandits versus Nasser, of course, as we'll get into as we go, man. But how you been? Obviously, you were at UFA, so we took a break last week. Yes. How was UFA?
Yes. Yeah, no, it was incredible. I'm sure if anyone who's watched it, it was a great tournament, still the biggest major in Europe, and definitely worth coming to if anyone is across the pond, or even people who are in Europe and didn't go. I heard a lot of people were like, damn, I got to make it next year just by watching it. I mean, the level of production is off the charts, and it's just a really well-run tournament. That's the best way to describe it. So I'm hoping it's coming back next year, and it'll be better than ever, I assure you.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch, so I definitely want to make it back out there. I haven't been to France since I was like 18. It was like before I was even like FGC like that, so I definitely would like to go back sometime soon in the near future. We'll see how the cards play out, of course. But this week we are discussing the US SFL, and as we said, it did start with Endemic versus UYU and Reynolds versus NuckleDu, right? Reynolds stepping up to the plate in the Guile matchup. Something you expect, but Du was just so practiced at it, man. He looked extremely patient, just knew the game was about every inch of the health bar in this type of matchup, and I like the way he played all around.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick short note as well. How it is pretty smart actually having NuckleDu up. Obviously, they were the home side, the away side, I guess, technically. Yeah. So they'd have to blind pick. And rather than leave, probably NuckleDu is their best player, rather than leave him as the anchor where he could get counterpicked in like a, 5-game situation where obviously it's worth a lot more points. They're like, we'll send him out first, and then they send their strongest player, Reynolds, obviously with the JP matchup, which is in favor of JP, there's no surprise. But it's just really smart. I quite like this, especially considering in the first week we kind of mentioned that they weren't really using that to their advantage. The fact that you got that counter pick on the home side,
yeah.
And now we're starting to see the tactics behind it, which is one of the cool things about SFL.
Yeah, exactly right. You see the teams evolve as they get used to the format a little bit. They start taking advantage of it more and more. Yeah, earlier in the round, I like the way Du he prioritized escaping from the corner when he got in burnout, right? But more importantly, when he did it was like after a crouch medium kick from JP, which was something I really like. I think like a blocking crouch medium kick or even getting hit by it, non-drive rush, and like what you do after is so important in the matchup. It just feels like momentum can swing in that moment so heavy if you get a good read. And then this right here, I had this note down. I was like, who needs drive rush to pressure behind the fireball, bro? He was just like,
I think you can only do this with a boom. Like this is the only character that can pull this one off. And there's in some respect, obviously, Reynolds going for that parry might have messed him up a little bit, because if he got the perfect parry, he definitely could have got the check in time. But because he trying to walk into it to get the perfect parry, so then he could check the movement, I think that's kind of what messed him up. Yeah. It was one of the hardest things to do, to be fair, is walk forward on a slow moving projectile and perfect parry it. So I don't really blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. And I wanted to highlight this because this is the first of, I believe, 3 times this happens in this round where he gets an OD ghost to go through a Sonic Boom and punish him. And this was really what kind of led Reynolds to winning this round. He really started reading the Sonic Booms, and something that happens quite frequently here. And we see Du switch it up in masterful ways later on. Like when pretty much he gets into this range where he gets punished this whole round like this again, right? That range, he just kind of stops throwing fireballs. He does other things, or he kind of waits till Reynolds gets down to 2 bars. So it's like if you throw the OD ghost, you're gonna get burnt out.
Yeah, I kind of I do like, honestly, since we've started doing this, I've been watching a lot of NuckleDu, and how he's approached this matchup and how much it's changed as well is really interesting. Originally people thought, oh, terrible match for Gal. He can't play his game, and you try and play your game and you get smoked, right? But now it's kind of like, okay, well, I went full on aggression and that wasn't really working either. And then now we see NuckleDu playing somewhere in between, where he's finding ranges where he can actually still use booms effectively. Yeah. But he is playing a little bit more aggressive, and he is the aggressor in this matchup, which is again pretty new for most Gal players, I think.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said, because when he does throw fireballs, if it's not when Reynolds going to be burnt out, it's outside of that range where he's going to get straight punished by the OD Ghost, right? The way he adjusts his game plan was really, really good in this set.
So he was being very good at aggressive, like using the booms, like rather than a zoning tool, obviously, just as a way to approach. And then, you know, the last thing you expect is the guards to be jumping in on you. But we do get some times as well. I think there'll be a time bit in the later on where I think it's at 38:55. I don't know how far ahead that is, but
yeah, well,
we'll jump to that.
Yeah, we'll jump to that. I just wanted to bring this up right quick. So this was like right after Dew started adjusting the game plan, right? This was in round 2, and then Reynolds kind of just was able to read a lot of the booms with the OD ghost. Here, it's funny because I think Dew, like from this range, sometimes he'll throw booms, but that's when he's been kind of getting blown up. So he goes with another option here, but I think because Reynolds was already in that boom mindset, and one of the ways to counter it is DI, I think he was just kind of pressing this to DI a boom, and then he ended up catching, or he could have reacted because it was very late. But
yeah, it was one of those where your back's against the corner as well, so like it's like hedging your bets with the DI. Like, oh, if they DIA like before this, I've technically, you know, got it in time. But yeah, like I said, probably looking for a boom. It was one of those like stalemate moments where they're just staring each other down.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a lot of, it was a very common situation, I'd say.
So and then you said 38:55, right?
Yeah, so I think it's a perfect parry on a boom, and it's very normally you want to just immediately do something like as soon as you perfect parry a boom, but sometimes it's better just to like wait. And so right there he waits and sees, he's like, oh, his jump's coming, no, drive rush is coming, all right, got the check going. And it's like that's a really important thing to do, because especially you see that a lot in like the mirror and like other fireball matchups where the guard player will do like you'll perfect parry the boom and then they'll immediately throw another projectile, and then you know the guard's already drive rushing behind it and stuffing your projectile. So like, yeah, you do really have to actually pay attention, especially against guard with his really slow moving booms.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I really like the way Dew kind of adjusted. We saw him start jumping, like where Renault tried to do the OD ghost, and again, like Guile jumps always just catch people by surprise in the end. There was definitely a lot of dope stuff that I like seeing him. There was, let me see, I'm reading my notes right here. Oh, there was like I can't remember where this was at. I didn't have a timestamp for it, but there was like a drive rush that dude did when Reynolds was burnt out, that he like timed it to the point where like he didn't time it right behind the boom where you get the pressure going like with your most advantage, but he timed it at a point where Reynolds would try to do something to escape the boom. So it definitely just ate his input and ended up getting hit by the boom. You know, very common situation when it comes to
that is
fireballs.
A genuine tactic.
Genuine tactic.
It's drive rushing, eating inputs. You can just do it so it eats someone's buffered input, and then the most obvious one is like when they try and perfect parry it, you drive rush at the same time and they get hit by the boom. But yeah, that is quite funny.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I have this right here. I want to go back for a second. I really like this from Dew right here, where he does the super right, burns him out, then he ends up going with the that combos, and then he does it again, and I like him doing this again just to force the meter out of Reynolds. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I got so much health, it doesn't really matter if I eat a super, and after that your burnout is still so low that if you waste that one meter, you're not gonna have anything to actually survive, right? With Guile being a pretty heavy chip type monster when the opponent's in burnout.
You're not gonna, like, as long as you don't get burned out yourself, you're not going to lose a round for getting hit by that level 1. Yeah. Whereas they have to level 1. So you may as well just do it. And like, you know, there's probably a cleaner way to end that round off, but it's still like really effective way to do it. Especially when you're on that tournament at that set point, I should say. Yeah.
And this I just have in my notes as the comeback. I forgot. It was around that 38-55 mark that you mentioned before. And yeah, this was just such a sick comeback from Dew from start to finish, man.
Actually one of the better comeback characters in this game, because if you burn yourself out versus him, man, he's not like JP where, you know, if you want to block you can just take the health tax. Like he's actually got some nasty pressure coming in, and he blocks out the level 2. Empty the jump as well, he somehow still calls out.
Like, oh man, I literally went back and counted the frames between the high-low.
What?
Yeah, no,
I just noticed. I thought it whiffed, but actually no, it hit.
No, it hit. Like this was a 17 frame like between difference, like on the block and the high. And like, so the fact that he was confident enough to be like, I'm gonna let go of parry, right? So he does have to like block the high here, like genuinely, like this is not parry at this point, and then block the low afterwards. I was like, man, on a pixel, all he needed was that crouch light kick. This dude, this was an insane comeback. Like, if not for how much health difference he made up for that block on the super alone.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, one of my first notes I had of the set is like, when are we going to learn the order to JP's level 2?
Yeah.
Because that situation came up earlier, and Du was parrying. He lets go of parry, and he doesn't hold up the high block and gets hit by the ghost while he's in recovery. And I guess he literally learned in that exact moment. He was like, oh, so the second time situation came up, he was like, oh, I'll block high on the last ghost. And yeah, I love to see that, actually. I didn't notice that on the first time, but yeah, sick.
Nah, that was really dope, yeah. So, and then it felt like he spent like all his mental endurance and energy in that last comeback and just kind of gets, perfected this round. But he brings it back in round 3 afterwards. But sometimes that actually happens, like in tournaments, when there's like a really stressful moment where you're putting so much into a specific sequence that the next round is just a wash, bro.
Oh yeah, and it's Street Fighter 6. Like it just gets like that sometimes. You get put in the corner, especially against JP, you can read wrong a couple times. But yeah, I think that comeback is also like quite important in the sense of this is why you have to spend your resources to kill sometimes. Like
exactly. That's true.
It's a player-by-player basis, but like he could have level 1'd and got the kill secured, but he didn't. Try to save it for the next round, and then obviously ended up losing it. So
I'm glad you brought that point out. I forgot that it ended with him not using the level 1. That's true. That's a good point. I really like this here from Du. I thought this I might be overthinking it here a little bit, but in this type of matchup, I can imagine JP players are looking for things like this. So he throws the first boom, and then he bazooka knees forward, right? That's usually for Giles to move forward while keeping the charge, right? If I'm not mistaken, or no? I can't hear Lazarus. Lazarus sleep.
Hello?
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm back? Okay. All right. I think I may have moved away from my mic or something. Not sure.
You're good.
Okay, we're good. Yeah. I was like, yeah. They do that to move forward while holding charge. Like,
okay,
effectively.
So I assume that means that when Reynolds sees this, that he thinks another boom is coming because you're like holding charge, right? For that reason. So he tries to spike.
Yeah, I see.
That's why I think he tries to spike there. And then Du is like, no, bro, I'm jumping. And then boom. It felt like exactly what Du was looking for. I could be overthinking it.
I think you're right.
But like, yeah.
Because otherwise there's no need to bazooka knee, right? But like a lot of people will see the bazooka knee and like have an expectation of what's going to come next. Even if you've never really thought about it that hard. Yeah. Because it's a situation you see so often against Gal players, your brain will subconsciously be like, oh, this is like what happens. So, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try and spike to snipe the boom. But like you said, I think that genuinely was a little bit of a mind game from NuckleDu there.
It felt like it. And one more thing I have for this game was I really like this fireball into DI here, because a lot of the time people aren't going to be holding parry on the fireball drive rush, right? Because they don't want to like hold parry and then get thrown afterwards. So I felt like this was a very smart time. Like I felt like this was a timing that was pretty reliable, that it was going to be more of a tap parry rather than a hold parry. So I think that kind of checkmated Reynolds a little bit there.
Yeah. I think it was probably a mistake to try and burn yourself out there. I think maybe NuckleDu thought it was going to kill, especially against JP, but he has so much health, like, couldn't have been that bad. So yeah, Clinton's closing it out with a throw. Again, scary to do against JP in the corner, but I don't think we saw Reynolds do a single amnesia this entire set.
That's a good point, yeah. Definitely did not recall.
We forgot about it.
One of those things.
I mean, it is one of these things where a lot of JP players will use the fact that amnesia exists as like the deterrent and never actually use it. Yeah. But in this case, NuckleDu's like, oh, I'm just gonna throw you then.
Indeed, yeah, we saw a lot of times, right? Even in the replays here. So definitely like the way NuckleDu kind of adjusted the game plan for sure. And then good looking out, Hawkins. I appreciate you. And then we had a Samurai versus Zen up next, right? In a Luke versus a DJ matchup. My man Zen is a wild boy, bro. That's all I gotta say. He was incredibly aggressive, button happy all set.
Yep.
There was a lot of slugfest moments in this one.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of cool things actually. A lot of cool DJ specific counterplay, which I know has been sort of hot on the Twitter discourse recently. Yeah. Especially that move right there, the just calling to the funky slice. So like, bro, it's pretty. Look at the damage, bro.
Yeah, the damage is ridiculous. And it kind of felt like right after this, Samurai was like, all right, I'm not throw teching anymore, bro. Like the next like 5 sequences that were like this, he like pressed the button, he did DP. He was just like, I'm not doing this anymore where I'm gonna throw tech. So that was a good adjustment from him, but it was still a slugfest through and through.
Yeah, and I think he also just starts DPing in those situations instead.
Exactly.
And the DP actually, I didn't realize, goes so far for Luke that it basically catches the sway every time, and that's kind of one of the nice things. Even though you can see how hard Zen was trying to bait it several times, he just couldn't get out of the way of it. So it wasn't there right there, but it does happen a few times throughout the set. But
that was like what he set him up with the first time, right? Was jab into sway.
Yeah.
So he didn't necessarily react, but like he was like, when I see this situation again, I'm letting the DP fly, bro.
Exactly. But yeah, there was some really good. Also, you go.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that there was a really good moment. I don't know what the timestamp we're at right now. Let me have a look.
Oh, here you go. 4:32.
Oh, there we go. I can see it. Yeah, it's a bit later on. It's like 2 minutes later on. So if you got anything to talk about between there.
The only thing I have is that at the end, this was like he started looking for a lot of jumps, right? A lot of neutral jumps here, and it did look like it was just to buffer the super, right? Like pretty much trying to react to the fireballs from DJ, and if you see it come out, then you just press the button in the end and sniped it with the level 1. He did this a couple of times. Like I don't know if he successfully ended up getting another level 1 on the fireball, but you could tell he was neutral jumping back, jumping a bit against the DJ, like looking for those buffers. I think Bill Kevin also calls it out.
Yeah. I mean, he may as well. I mean, in that case, right, he's also looking for like drive rush, things like that. And it's a pretty safe thing to do after like jumping back, just to buff your super, because especially when you're on burnout, right?
Yeah. So what was your timestamp? Because mine next is also like 46:22.
Yeah. 40. Yeah, literally, I think we got the same thing.
Okay.
46:25.
Okay. So let's see here.
Yeah, it's like right here. We see the sway, and look at that. I love Samurai with that. It's a walks up. Yes. He walks up. A lot of times the low forward would whiff there, and so instead chooses to walk up. It's just a few frames, man. But that's all it needs to do. Exactly. And it catches like the delayed button in this case. But I think it also would have caught like a double sway, you know?
Yeah. It's one of those things where like you only need a few frames sometimes. Like I put out that clip of the ending walk or walk back, right? Like a few frames makes a difference when those moves like are right here, and -3 something like that. That also is definitely like a smooth timing to catch like Jen's delay button, right? Like because as you said, that is what it did. But it's one of those things where it's like I kind of lost my train of thought, but it just like is one of those timings that really hits people trying to delay buttons. And like sometimes when you walk forward too much, you're too late. That's what I was going with. Like if you try to walk forward a little bit too much and you're like trying to react and look for stuff, you're a little bit too late on your button. He was just confident that a few frames of moving would be the difference maker, right? And it exactly was. I really loved it.
Yeah, no, like that's kind of what it is. That's how you kind of open up people when you get to this level, right? People are so good at delaying their buttons and doing it so if you press like immediately at usual timings, the button won't come out. Obviously they'll block or whatever, but in this case if you delay it long enough, but again if you delay too much you're gonna get hit by that button. So
yeah, exactly.
Really
That's like
it's like a knife's edge.
That's the point of delayed buttons, right? It's like it's supposed to avoid the immediate button press back from the opponent, and it's supposed to avoid like them trying to like sit there and react to what you're doing. Like you're supposed to, since you're the one that knows what's happening, you know that you're kind of walking back and waiting, you have the advantage and you can react first. So to kind of counter that as the person on the other end, you have to know those timings where just a few frames is going to make the difference and commit to that. And that was beautiful from Samurai.
Yeah. And this is that was quite tragic the way that last round ended.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
In my notes, I just put, if I had a nickel for every time someone recovered from burnout, like the move before they would have got tripped out.
Yeah.
I'd only have like 2 nickels, but it is weird this happened like twice in like 2 weeks. That was just unlucky. But that's something you got to pay attention to, right? Because you got to realize when you do force someone to block a move, if it's a normal or a special, they'll recover quite a lot of that burnout time. So like, even though you think you got the time for the special move, it's just like that special move is the thing that puts them out of the burnout. And it's something that people are still getting used to, obviously.
Yeah. And I have, let me see, I have this timestamp 48:10, and in my notes it says straight slugfest tings. That's all I have for it. So let's see what that's about, huh?
My notes are just the mix-ups go deep.
Yeah, I think it was because of this. Like they're just getting hit, and then the stand fierce right here, checking the drive rush. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's this corner situation because he misses the beat, but it's all right. You know what? You still get the link, sure thing. Yeah. And then it's just like this right here where he like drive rushes, nothing, like walks back, DI. That's it. That's the mix-up. I'm like,
that is definitely deep layers, bro. Man, He's a wild boy for sure. I was like, in my notes here, I'm sitting here begging Samurai to just do meaties and frame traps. That's literally what's in my notes, because he's just been so button happy, so aggressive. And there was a lot of moments where he was hitting wake up buttons and they were counter hitting Samurai, or he was like kind of giving up plus frames to him, or trying to delay his buttons and getting hit by Jen. So I was just like, bruh, like, be true to what you think. And you see him pressing the buttons, like, make him like there, right? Like, he's giving up plus frames right here off the drive rush jab. I just kind of wanted him to do more frame traps because Jen was just so willing to press buttons back.
Yeah, I also really like right there we saw Samurai. Basically, anytime we saw the sway at this point, he just started jumping forward.
Yes.
And like, that's a great answer to sway. Like, if you see them sway, you should just jump forward, because if they do sway nothing, they can't get an anti-out in time unless they like got perfect flash kick charging. But if the sway, I guess the heavy kick follow-up could like technically anti-air you, but I've never seen it happen, so let's just say it doesn't do that anyway. And they can't really, like, even though you don't get like a punish per se, like, you'll never be a part of that mix-up anymore. Yes, you just jump forward and you're out of the situation. Sometimes that's more than good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I forgot that he ends up taking it again right there. I was like, bro, no. There was like that one time. But yeah, Samurai.
Literally, it was like frame by frame, exactly the same as that first round.
Yeah. I was like, no, bro. But Samurai does close out. There were some shaky moments, I think, in the end. There was like a jump over that he ended up cornering himself, like while he was in burnout or something. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? But I think it was just kind of the heat of the moment. Obviously, he gave that speech. I think it was this week where he was like, obviously, we're taking some time to get our groove, but we're going to find our groove. And we still want to, put bodies in bags to end the SFL, despite, being kind of out of running of a lot of the finals. And so I think he felt a lot of pressure to kind of perform a bit. So there was definitely some nerves, but he ended up clutching it out, and it was definitely a dope performance.
Really well.
Yeah.
I actually want to talk about something. If we jump back to like 49.50.
Gotcha.
I think it's when he hits his DI. He's in burnout here. I think it is. Yeah, that's what happens. And I believe Vicious is like saying, oh, he has to level 3. Like, he has to. But because you're obviously in burnout, you want the burnout time to like clock down. But like, honestly, level 3ing there, you're only getting like such a small amount of that burnout gauge back, and then you're left with no meter. And if you got 0 meter and you're in burnout, that's the only way you're going to be able to lose this round, if that makes sense. So like, I actually think that it's one of the rare times where I actually don't want level 3, even though you're in burnout, because you need that meter just to be able to get out of situations. Obviously, it doesn't really help him, but off of that, if he had level 3, like, it wouldn't be enough to kill. Obviously, he loses the round anyway. It's hard to say, but he could have lost the round and spent the 3 level 3. So it's kind of one of those situations where I think it's like, it's a bad idea to level 3 here.
Yeah, I get you. And like, I think it's important to go over moments like that where it's like, okay, like, it didn't play out in his favor, but that's not what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about how it played out. We're talking about the moment and how there's many possibilities how it could have gone after this, right? And I think you're right, because especially with Luke, I don't know if his level 3, like just the raw level 3, is shorter than a lot of the other ones, but it feels like he doesn't get as much burnout gauge back as some of the other characters to me. I could just be tripping on that. But
I think they're all like about the same, but yeah, I think unless it would burn out Zen here, it's just like you don't gain enough, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're still going to be on the back foot for way too long. Obviously, if you've already burnt out half the timer, then it's probably worth going for the level 3, because you only need to defend for like a few seconds.
Yes.
But then right now you still got to wait like 10 seconds. Like, it's just a long ass time in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. If he burns out Jin with it, as you said, then it's like, okay, you take the DI off the table. You don't got to worry about that anymore. You don't technically need that super meter to counter it at that point. So sure, do it. But I'm with you. Like, he was still going to need like 2/3 of his meter to refill, and not having any meter to threaten these block strings with and the DIs with and whatnot. It just would have been too much. So yeah,
especially like DJ, who's just gonna like drive rush in, you can't stop him.
Exactly, he's gonna drive rush in. He's gonna push it to the corner. It's not gonna be good.
Exactly. But I just wanted to mention that. But other than that, I think Samurai plays this really, really well against Zen. Also, a very, very strong DJ player. Yeah,
definitely good stuff from Samurai, clutching it out of the end. And then we had Flash versus VX Bao. I mean, VX Bao is the departure master, as we talk about each and every week, and he just displays it in new ways each and every week as well. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Also, I think right here, yep, crouch medium punch. Obviously, does a lot in this game, but also it's one of probably the best ways to check the blankable. A lot of characters can actually do this. It has to be, you have to hit like this like trifecta of, you know, hitbox, hurtbox, and active frame ratio for it to work on blankable, and Honda headbutt to some extent. But you know, a lot of characters do have that. A lot of but JP's is obviously just the best with the big disjoint and active frames. And you can see just how prepared VxBao is for the matchup to go to check it like that on reaction.
Yeah, he was consistently using a crouch medium punch. Like, it was a huge deterrent. I think most of the time it straight beat the Blanka ball. I think there was once where it traded with an OD Blanka ball, but he was just so on point with it the whole time. Let's see here. I'm trying to look for my times. There was a couple of like just fantastic timings on the teleports that I was really impressed by from VxBao. And then there was a moment here. Let me see.
I have it quite timestamp. Oh,
go ahead.
This, I think. I was gonna. We'll go after this. I think this is also something I want to talk about. Maybe.
Yeah, this actually was something I wanted to talk about. So he burns him out here, right? Unfortunately, he goes for like the Stand Fierce drive impact in the corner, and he mistimes it. And I was just like,
yeah,
that was unfortunate. But I really like the way he ended it here. This was really good, right? The OD amnesia just to counter the Lightning Beast.
Yep, that's how well he knows a matchup, bro. Like, he knows that that's a cross up and that's like a frame trap, but you know what? Down input, you're gonna get crossed up. So.
And then this was just a huge plus on block while in burnout, plus 6 on block and burnout. You're just kind of at the mercy of him. And I feel like the JP players at SFL playing with Bananakin a lot, they're starting to believe in the command grab, bro. They're like, you know what? This guy's command grabbed everybody's command grab to me. Maybe I should start working this in.
It does so much damage, and like, it's just, there's also like the psychology of, I don't know, it needs to be investigated, but like everyone jumps back against it, so you don't even get punished when you go for it. So like,
yeah.
So like, why not go for it, bro? It's not even punishable, apparently. Like, that's what people will slowly get used to it. Oh, that's what I'll talk about right here. Was that Fierce into the, I can't remember what it's called now, but the spinny thing.
Yeah.
When that first hit whiffs, like, just manage the eye. Like, it's kind of one of these things where it's like, rather than sit and get like put into trip guard, like, and not be able to whiff punish it because you can't move away, you can just mash the eye. Because yeah, you'll just blow straight through it, and it's one of these things like I'm sure people get better at. But like, I don't know if certain versions he can DI back on. That might be a thing to look at, but I know it definitely works as a punish if that first hit whiffs, which a lot of the time it does. You know, I see too many of that situation.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great point. It's one of those things that slips through the cracks while you're trying to think of everything else right now, right? But as everybody gets used to stuff and other things become second nature, it's going to make room for remembering moments like that. And the punishes will come, as you said, for sure.
Yeah. Also really liked at the end of the first game, obviously VxBao was kind of mauling Metroid, but I think Samurai said like, oh, he showed you his counterplay. And I don't know why, but that is insanely good advice, I think. Just in the sense of, you know, getting you thinking about the right things, right? Like, oh, I know how he's trying to beat my things. I just have to, well, you should either know the answers to his answers, or you got to figure something out real quick. So yeah. I think that was just really solid advice. Like, showing you his counterplay is like, it's something you wouldn't think about by yourself, I don't think.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, he showed you the answers that he has right now. Like,
yes, how do you beat that?
Exactly. Instead of like bogging down in anything else, just like think about how to beat that. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, it pays off. Flash does win the second game. Yeah. I think it puts him in a proper headspace for sure. I think he got a lot of mileage out of the air ball in this set, especially OD air ball. There was a moment towards the end where I wish he would have used it. But one thing that I did like, if we go a little bit forward, was we see here off of the down forward heavy punch, we get the crouch fierce, or I think it's crouch medium punch punish. So that was dope. But like, there was a moment later on, I think very, very shortly after, I think actually. Yeah, 57-51, so it's going to be coming up here in a second, where he tries it again, and it's just short, and VxBao was like, nah, bro, I know. Like, I know the range, and just immediately,
I know my spaces.
Yeah. and it was kind of sick seeing the way the down forward heavy punch got kind of like countered back and forth, because he does it one more time and like later on I'll jump and then jump back just to make this point where it was like, all right, now VX Bao knows his spacing right, and then he does like a slide punish. Yeah, and I was like, wow. I forgot that it was, you know, that negative where you could actually slide punish it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like minus what, 21 or something like that.
Yeah,
doesn't feel like it, but yeah.
So I thought that was very smart. I like seeing that back and forth.
Yeah. I think if we probably jump back a little bit, unless you want to just finish it on up, but I think it's like 55-50. There's a point where Metroid burns himself out, and like because of that perfect parry here, I think yeah, basically this is going to be forced upon you, right?
There it is.
At this point, like you gotta I think you gotta admit that you like made a mistake, right? And like you just gotta block, you know. I know against JP it can be quite scary, but if he just blocked here, you're gonna take a lot of chip damage and stuff, but you're not gonna die immediately. And again, if you block and stuff, you get out of burnout pretty fast. So like here, if he was just blocking rather than getting hit by the ghost, he might have been in a way better situation. But yeah, I think it's one of the important things. Like being burnout versus JP is really bad, but it's not really that bad. You know, he's just gonna do a bunch of free damage on you, which it will add up if you don't have the health to survive it. But he definitely did there. So I think like you got a way better chance of beating, winning that round if you just chill out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was actually one of Flash's kind of issues in this set, was that he had moments where he was very overcommittal. This there kind of pays off with a lot of the jumping. He ends up getting the jump back on the teleport and getting the punish. But especially in the last round, if I recall correctly, there was a lot of moments where he like did hop throw or like was jumping a lot, and I was like, man, I was like, you gotta chill out a little bit, man. It just felt like he was committing too much to the point where he didn't need to. Like he was playing well when he wasn't playing like that, and it just felt like he got kind of frustrated with JP or something. And I was just like, man, I was wishing he would take a breath. But there was a couple of dope moments from VX Bao that I wanted to highlight. This one, I was like, bruh, he does. I thought this was an insane drive reversal bait, because I don't think Flash Metroid had done a drive reversal up until this point. But then he sets him up in the corner here. I think I might have pressed it a little bit early on it. But yeah, okay, it should be after this level 2 here. So, or level 3, I mean. Does the level 3, sets up the OD, lets the first spike go, and then teleports past the drive reversal. I was like, bro.
Never seen Blanka's drive reversal animation. It's just like a little roll,
yeah,
little sonic spin. Like, what the hell's going on with that? Like, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wait, is that actually got a hitbox? Like, or is that kind of like one of those escaping? They brought back the escaping V reversals or something here, but I think it does actually hit you. It's just really weird. I don't think I've ever seen it. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't see that moment a lot from the Blanka. So the fact that he felt ready for that or reacted to it with a teleport, whatever it was, I was just like, wow, I'm mind blown. Another thing that I had, I think it was actually, I misinterpreted my timestamps. So this was something small, but I really liked it here. Just that right there. So like I said, Flash had been getting a lot of mileage off of like the air balls and the block strings. So VX Bao, the way he switches it up is double jab, backdash. And he doesn't get the punish because it's OD Blanka Ball. It's an extremely hard move to punish on whiff. But I see that his mind is there. And I really love that like little small adjustment of the straight up backdash after the double jab. Because that was his read. He got the read he wanted. It was just a really hard move to punish.
Yeah. I think like the only way you can really punish it is by doing like jab, DI. Which has a lot of risk attached to it. So sometimes it's just safer to do that backdash.
Yeah, definitely. And the one thing that I like saw from Flash, there was a lot of OD air balls, but I wish he would do a couple of regular air balls, especially against JP, because I think JP's like they get real crouch medium kick happy, right? And there was like a lot of crouch medium kicks here. Yeah, in this sequence, right? There was like 5 back to back. And I was like, bro, I think if you jump back and regular air ball, like you're either going to make him block at a distance where I don't think you're going to get punished. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm not a Blanka player because it is like -6 to -2 on regular air ball. But yeah, it can be. But then it's like -2 if you space it right. I think you would have been able to space it right there. Or with him being so crouch medium kick happy, you're going to hit the damn crouch medium kick being out there. So that was one of these moments where I would like to see a regular air ball. But, you know, it happens.
This is also, I think, just an insane like burnout sequence because you got a guaranteed stun lining up for yourself, and he doesn't have the level 1 quite yet, so he has no way of getting it out. So VX Bao like knew that and was like, oh, how do I get to a point where stun will kill. So that whole sequence before this was like, okay,
yeah,
well,
here,
I could stun him now, but why am I not getting my extra credit, basically?
Yeah,
so I get enough to kill. And that was just so smart.
That was definitely
this character.
That's big picture thinking right there, right? Like, I'm gonna keep him in burnout as long as possible, so that, like you said, when he does stun, it's a kill. Yeah, it's very smart. I didn't pick up on that before, but that was very, very good stuff.
He knew that, like, he was looking at his opponent's meter and was like, well, he's not gonna build the level 1 throughout this, so I can get this. I can do this for free, basically. At no point can he actually get out of it. So, yeah, definitely one of those things that JP's is one of the best at doing is that burnout stuff.
So, do you have any notes? I basically have the last moment as a note. Do you have any notes before that last moment? I have that one too, where it's like I hate neutral jump baiting JP's in the corner because of air throw, but that was small.
But no, I didn't have anything specifically about this.
So let's go to this last moment where I was like, oh man, he really is the master of departure here. It's coming up shortly. Oops. So yeah, so he burns him out, right? This is just another great sequence where he uses level 2 to burn him out. How does he get this hit here? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so yeah, there's just a lot of commitment from Flash. This is kind of what I was talking about, right? Like, he light balls forward. He immediately is just committed to the throw, gets caught in the recovery on that, gets burnt out off of that hit because of the level 2. Like, and then this was just so sick from VxBao, I thought. So again, sets up the OD, catches it, just like whiffs the button because of the jump back, and then of course, like we talked about, right? He is the best at letting the departure do the heavy lifting.
Yep.
He's like, I whiffed my button. All right, well, it's okay. I know I got another spike there. Kills him off of it, and I was like, man, this dude.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah. A lot of people, I think, would have tried like getting their crouch fierce out, got stuffed, and then the departure portal goes away. But VxBao's like, I've already done this. I know how to do this. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus, take the wheel. Basically.
Legitimately. So then we had Red Rooster versus Vortex, which started with PR Rog versus Xian. We had perfect time right there. All right, so it was Jury versus DJ. What are your overall thoughts here on this game?
Again, some really nice DJ counterplay, honestly, from PR Balrog. I felt like he couldn't quite play exactly the way he wanted to. I think DJ just kind of does that to you. But pretty early on, we start seeing like I think DJ goes for like the triple jab into the medium Sobat kick.
Yes,
which is a very common enter. Yeah, it's like coming up right now.
Oh, okay. I thought it had already passed.
Oh, no, it's like in 10 seconds. But he does a medium Sobat, and it's just like one of these things that it's a very common ender for things. But there's a gap there, and you can DI it, right? Yeah. And that's exactly what PR Balrog does. It shows how well he kind of knows the matchup, which is really important. I think he also had the sway counterplay that we mentioned before, so here it is. And then I think the moment after this, he does the counterplay to sway as well.
He does, there it is. Yeah,
right there, he is at -6 and then just walks up. He knows the sway's coming, but he's got to get into range where that low forward's going to hit. And that is so clean, man.
Yeah, those are two moments I also had down, was the DI on the Sobat light string, the step forward with the crouch medium kick to blow up the sway. Like, he already knew like what was coming against DJ, right? He did such a good job kind of countering it. I wanted to go back just because there was some uncharacteristic drops from Xian on this specific dive kick. Like, I don't know what it was. It happened twice in the exact same way, where he baits out the dive kick and it was like double light, and then he just went into triple light and it whiffed. And this happened like the second time too, and I was like, what? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I had that as like Xian just looking like a little bit unprepared. Like, he knew he had a punish here, but he just didn't know what to punish with. And I think that was like, it's such an easy, I think an obvious thing. He obviously knew it was punishable, but he didn't know the like actual frames. So he couldn't quite get the punish he wanted.
Man, and you know what's funny is because we saw the walk forward crouch medium kick, right? And it felt like after this, every time Xian did crouch medium kick, he backdashed after instead. Like, I feel like he did this throughout the set after that one punish. I was like, I respect the switch up.
Oh my god, this level 2. I mean, this whole first round was hella scrambly, man.
It was like,
finally gets the anti-nice stuff.
Yeah, it was like I don't know what the hell's about to happen until like after he spent the level 2. After he spent the level 2, Xian was like, all right, I got my drive meter back, and now I'm just gonna wait for him to jump, because it's like, you know, eventually he's going to jump to avoid the chip, because obviously the fireball chip is a threat. So I love the patience from Xian after the wild stuff that we saw from both of them.
Pretty hectic first round, but I mean, outside of that, I didn't really have too much to say about this matchup, honestly.
Okay.
I think there was like one moment towards the end.
Yeah, I have
my notes are not descriptive enough, so I need to see what goes happen. But it's
I have a note here that I really liked. Oh, it actually a moment just passed here a bit ago, where I really like this stand heavy punch timing from Xian, like this one right here. I think, like, again, it's one of those things where we talk about a little bit, right? Like, when you're the person that already knows what the option is going to be and not the one waiting to react to the option, you gotta have a little bit of an advantage with the reaction. And having like a surprise move forward button like this is like the perfect button to press in those situations. So I just really like the timing from Xian. It was very fast, very quick with it, right? He immediately recognized our PR Balrog is waiting for me to do something, and then he just caught his like delayed option. I just thought that was really great timing.
Xian was like also just looking for, like, obviously he's walking back, so if he went for a throw there, he would have walked out of range.
Yeah.
Because you can't get like a true meaty throw there for the jury. And that was also that timing to catch that kind of throw whiff animation, obviously.
Yeah, I remember that there was a lot of checking the drive rush. Like, Xian would just like fireball and then drive rush behind it, and PR Balrog consistently was checking it. I thought that was really impressive. There was a moment right here where just as PR Balrog gets his drive meter back, he lets the DI rip. Like, literally, so good, it felt like the frame he got it back, bro. Like,
yeah, literally, like he was mashing that shit like before he recovered. He was just pressing that DI button. I mean, it worked. So
100%.
I get it.
Yeah, and it worked on a very popular option that DJs do. Like, DJs love this walk back, crouch heavy punch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, that's like their bread and butter. They love doing that, right? It's like -2 on block.
Man.
It gives like it gives a great reward on a punish counter. And so they look for that a lot, and they're right there, Balrog. But it's not cancelable. So it's one of those things where it gets heavily exposed by DI.
Yeah, definitely. We saw a lot of great uses of DI from PR Balrog, which I think is great. Like, again, you get to this top level and you see people just kind of neglect it. We'll see it even against, like, in the Mena RD versus Angry Birds set comes up a lot. But, like, it's just something that people think, oh, well, it's not going to work anymore, so I'm not going to do it. But there's still many situations it's actually extremely useful. So I'm glad to see still players like PR Balrog being like, hey, it's a real option. I'll do it as a way to call something out, or if I know something's coming. It's a great way to counter it.
Exactly, right? Like, I think it's like taking some time for the general consensus to realize, or like the general audience to realize, like, DI is going to remain prevalent because there's things that it does just straight up counter. You know what I mean? Like the
it's designed that way.
Like, like, it's not meant, like, we got hit by it in neutral all the time because we weren't used to it. You know what I mean? Now, as people get used to it, it's not as easy to just abuse in neutral like that. It's going to be a tool that you use primarily to call out things. And right here, I really like this jump back from Xian. Like, another moment of great timing. Like, as you see PR Balrog walk back from that, like, what is he going to press that's going to reach into range besides the DI? Even if you jump back here and you get DP'd, you can kind of live with that. The only thing that would have been a huge punish if he, like, walked forward and level 3'd your jump back, which, I mean, that would have been insane from PR Balrog. So I think Xian, this was a great bet, great recognition, great timing on the jump back.
Oh, punching jump backs in the corner is just ludicrously difficult anyway for like a lot of characters. Like, you can just obviously do drive rush into like your anti-air punishes, but you really got to be so ready like to catch the actual jump back that it's almost you're already looking out for so much in the corner. You can't really add too much more.
That is a good point, though. I think we'll get there. I don't think it'll be ever like a super common thing, but I think we're gonna see it. You know what I mean? Like, super high level play, people clutch it out, and players rise to the occasion. But yeah, that's a good point. I like the drive rush answer. But yeah, this was a dope back and forth set. The last note I have is really the game ending, the set ending thing. Do you have anything before that? Because it's like not till like 126.
I have something 125-30.
Okay.
Again, my notes are not descriptive enough, but I think it's like some sort of confirmed situation where he just reacts to the fact that Shien's not blocking. All the way around. Oh, right here. Yeah. So that whiff punish. It's like one of these things where we talked about it before, but like obviously he's not reacting to the whiff normal. He's reacting to the fact that the opponent just drive rushed at him and pressed the button, and he's not blocking. So like he's reacted to the fact that, oh, it whiffed. Like as in I'm not blocking, so I'm going to press my button at this timing, because if I was blocking, it wouldn't come out, and if I'm not blocking, like I'm not, I get the whiff punish.
It's one of those things, right? It kind of becomes second nature, and it's, I think, as you play fighting games a lot, it's one of those things that you can come to a realization on your own sometimes, just because you're like, oh, okay, like this is kind of, you definitely come to the realization of the timing on your own, right? Like you can kind of get to the concept from other people, but like when you're in the game, like you realize those moments where you're like, okay, like I could press this button here, because if I'm blocking, I would have already been blocking, like you said. So I like that a lot from Shien. And then that last moment here, I just really love what was it? Walking, he like walked into crouch medium kick range and then short hopped, and I was like, all right, you're an evil scientist. Like because he walks back here and then he walks forward, right? And he's like, oh, look at that. And then he parks it and he's like, you're in crouch medium kick range, bro. Like I know you want to press it, and then just whoop.
Oh, you're going for it. Easy shoot knee over the top. Yeah, that was clean. Yeah, very close set though. Very close set.
Yeah, I was impressed from both sides. I really like that set a lot, actually. And then we had Ajax Fidelity and Oil King to follow them up. Oil King on the Ken. Felt like some moments where, you know, he's playing a lot of characters, so the Ken wasn't all the way there as efficient it could be, but it was definitely impressive. Considering as many characters as he does play, I liked a lot of what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, my first note is just Oil Kingdom right now. Like, this guy was just dominating early on. But yeah, I think, especially, you know, he could basically play anything. I'm not sure why he doesn't pick Rashid. I guess he was the blind pick, right? So he just picked, like, maybe the safer character.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah.
So, yeah, there was a couple of moments, like, especially in this round one, I felt like a lot of players got raw drive rush off. So I was really happy to see, like, in round two, the perfect parry to start it. I was like, okay. Like, okay, immediately adjusting, because both players were kind of trying to start that pressure with just raw drive rush. He stopped it. There was, like, an extension that I was like, okay, he kind of unfortunately didn't pick up on it as well as he could have. It's like the special one you get that's like the cross up running Tatsu off this counter, and he gets like the cross up juggle, and I would have really liked.
It's hard to convert that one. To be fair, especially like he plays multiple characters, he might not like actually practice that one, because you got to do your reverse inputs and stuff like that. It just it kind of messes up your mind.
Exactly, and because of that, like he ends up like going into a drive rush cancel that burns him out. And I was like, oh right, if you were gonna go into burnout, like I wish you would have just done like OD Dragon Lash and carried him back to the corner. But it was one of those things where like but he did the level 3 because he burnt himself out, right? So he wanted to get his meter back. So I get it. It was just one of those things that kind of slipped through the cracks, because as we said, he's been playing so many characters that it was one of those moments where it could have been a little more efficient, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, honestly. And it was pretty enjoyable watching Ajax as well, who actually used Feng Shui Engine a lot. And it's one of these level 2s that I think slips under the radar a little bit, because it's not quite JPs, it's not quite, you know, Blancas, but it's also still ridiculously strong in the same circumstances. So I think we jumped to like 132 if you got nothing before then. But oh wait, did we already go past it? No, we did. But yeah, I was like, hey, you know what, this whole sequence, like low forward, gets to level 2, spends no meter here, and obviously that dash does the level 2 1 bar damage, which is great. Obviously set up for the safe jump, there's pressure, there's not really anything you can do about this one. You can always drive reversal, but I know there's like some kind of OS you can do as the jury player. But yeah, this whole sequence is just to bait the drive reversal. I don't know quite how it works, but apparently it does. But yeah, that whole sequence is obviously it's almost more than you see a lot of like either Blancas or just like a raw level 2, while you've got still some meter against JP. Just something that I like to see, because again, a lot of people just use Jury's level 3, which is also very good, but there are definitely spots where the level 2 is probably better.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, people don't talk about her level 2 enough.
It's just
like,
hard, I think.
Yeah.
Compared to JP's, he just clicks his fingers, no more neutral, like, and sets up some blockables. Hers is like requires a little bit of work.
Yeah. And like, but like, oh man, like there's so many. It just feels like even beyond JP's, her still goes like under the radar a little bit. Like I hear about Blanca's, like I feel like I hear about Guile's more than Feng Shui Engine. And I'm like, bro, like Feng Shui Engine is really, really good too. And you know, I'm glad Uma made it into Capcom Cup from I forgot which country specifically he was from. I think it was Thailand or Taiwan, but he was in ICFC Asia all the time, and like he won a lot of the ICFC Asia events. So I'm really happy that he qualified for Capcom Cup because he is really great at using Feng Shui Engine. So I think a lot of people that are sleeping on it are gonna wake up at Capcom Cup seeing this dude.
I think we'll probably see it a lot more. I mean, if level 3s end up getting toned down a bit or whatever.
Sure.
Because right now, you really needed a really, really strong level 2 to have a good reason to use it. Or the situation needs to line up, right? Like for a kill or something like this right here. Yeah. Which doesn't always happen. So, like I said, Jury's, she's got probably the best Oki post level 3, which is one of the reasons why you normally see that one.
All right, next up we had Bananakin versus NL.
I did want to mention I was reading the freaking YouTube chat. No, not about the game, but I was reading the YouTube chat while I was watching it, and it was quite funny. I won't lie. Like that entire set, the whole chat was talking about how Ken is low tier because all of his buttons are minus. And I was just like, bro, you seen Street Fighter 6, bro? Everything's minus. That's how it works. But it's just like, I love that that's their metric of being like, oh, he's bad. And then someone just said they wish they buffed Jury's ass or something like that. And I couldn't tell if they meant like her actual ass or just like they wish they buffed her.
Yeah. Like Jury's ass,
couldn't tell, bro.
Like, give me buffs, yeah. Oh man, that's
too weak.
That is pretty good stuff for sure.
YouTube comments. I mean, this Twitch chat which is always funny, but YouTuber is like a different breed.
It is. It's funny that they kind of both have their own distinct tone, 100%.
Yeah.
But Bananakin versus NL, I thought in this in game 1 specifically, NL had some brave bets with the crouch medium punch, like off of like plus frame scenarios that he challenged with that were all really good. He ended up like coming up with them. He did, I think, burn himself out at the end of the first game. That ended up costing him a bit. He was, I remember now. I remember. So I actually want to kind of go over it a little bit because yeah, it was a tough spot to be in. I think he burns himself out. He burns out. Yeah, he burns out Bananakin, and then he burns himself out with the OD Fireball trying to snipe. And I was like, oh man, that's scary, right? And then right here, oh man, I was like, bro, I like this idea. Like he has the little departure window, like just looming in the shadows, right? Like very worried, I think, of just going with like a crouch fierce and getting hit by the spike coming out. So I think he tries to air to avoid it, misses the air to air, and just ends up getting juggled anyway. I was like, that was a heartbreaking way to end it.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, I said like sometimes I don't know how Bananakin wins. He just kind of does. Yeah. That's exactly the type of rounds where it's like he purely mind controlled his opponent there to burn himself out of the only projectile there for whatever reason. Wasn't going to chip him out or anything, so there's no reason to burn himself out like that. And then just also with that big jumping normal get absolutely smoked and then eventually get chipped out. Like I don't know how he wins these, bro, but you know what? I appreciate it.
And this was a fine display of knowledge on his part, though. So I always talk about like the sandblast privilege of being able to end his light strings and sandblast, because I feel like the lights always put him at such a perfect space to like hit the sandblast and then leave him at like okay frame advantage. But right here, my man Bananakin was like, not on JP, bro. The distance, like just interrupting the sandblast after the two lights. I was like, wow.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, he's going to go for the heavy one, right? Because the closer you are, the more you want to use the heavier one because it's safer. But that's exactly the weakness, right? A big startup, you're going to get sniped out by people who are prepared and done their lab work.
Yeah, that was definitely sick. I was very impressed with that moment from Bananakin, just recognizing the strength, the most likely strength coming out from the sandblast, realizing that he can interrupt. I was like, all right, man, you know what you're doing. But besides that, I have one.
Won't lie, half my notes are just casino, dale, casino, casino from PR Balrog, I think it was, just saying casino over and over again. Anytime like any interaction with JP happened on the screen, he goes casino, dale, casino. I was just laughing my head over it. I loved how motivated the players are starting to get.
There was a lot of like crouch medium punch from Bananakin. It was a great deterrent for drive rushes in this set. It was also like a tool that checked Banana or NL trying to check the drive rushes, right? Like he would just do early crouch medium punch in the drive rush. It would counter hit NL's button. Yeah, man, Bananakin, there was definitely a lot of just abuse of that button in this set.
Yeah, and likewise from NL, crouch medium both. But both these got very good ones for like kind of different reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if you're gonna play these characters, you should definitely take advantage of those buttons. It's just extremely strong. I think I wanted to jump to like 140, 130. I don't know if we might have actually jumped past. Oh, it's right here. Yeah. My note is just NL putting in that lab work, so about to see some kind of goofy interaction, I'm sure. But is it this?
Oh. Was it the fireball? The fireball meteor?
I don't know. I'm actually trying to think. Maybe it was this. The ODDP comes out. Maybe that was it. I don't know. Maybe it was that. But like how he dealt with the thing.
It might have been.
I might have got the timestamp wrong, but
it did look like it was punish counter because the reversal happened and he got punish counter. So I believe it wasn't Amnesia that got hit. It was a regular Amnesia, and he did it again. But yeah, I think that might have been correct. And then he was ready, I guess, to counter the.
I think I like this. In moment exactly. Like that was definitely was this moment because like a lot of JPs love to like jump out of the corner whenever they do Amnesia. So like you already know what they're gonna do. So he had the idea, obviously doing the ODDP, get through the Amnesia. Obviously, it wasn't enough to kill, but I like that.
And then the main note I have here is the sick ending sequence from Bananakin. Do you have anything before that? I really want to get
I got 2 more casinos, and then psychologists need to investigate the JP command grab incident. Indeed. So he throws the command grab and then L just jumps back and can't punish. I'm just like, what's going on?
Oh, yeah, the jump backs, right? Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah,
bro.
I don't get it. It is hilarious because like I'm sure if it was if against Blanka, like a lot of people, if they do react or neutral jump, so it's like clearly it's not like a command grab thing. It's just JP's is specifically spooky or something.
It is the fear of JP. I think
it's purple, bro. Spooky.
So I really love this, right? Like he clears the screen, he eats the OD. I think that comes out here. He's like, all right, I'm cool with that. And then he's like, all right, teleport to the close one. Let the far one reach, right? And then he shows him the drive rush. So the fact that he's like blocking the spike coming out, he doesn't have any time to really challenge this drive rush, right? So the only thing he can do to kind of save himself from this is parrying what's coming in, and he has enough to like not burn himself out with a non-perfect parry, right? So I think this was such a good time to use the command grab, bruh. Like that's the only way out of such a heavy lockdown situation like that. When you see the drive rush coming, your challenge button is just gonna get counter hit. So you're like, all right, well, I guess I got to parry, and then one step ahead, the Bananakin special to end the set. This dude is bonkers, man.
No, yeah, I don't know, but the potassium goat, man, he just keeps winning. He just keeps winning, clutching it out as well. Like this guy is pretty invaluable to have against someone who did not expect much coming into SFL, but is looking easily like one of the best players in the tournament or in the whole league. So
yeah, I would still give him MVP, man. Like what he's done, he's consistently beaten like the other team's best player. You know what I mean? It's like
literally.
Whatever Red Rooster has done like as a team, which I know they're doing well, like they're in contention up there to make it to the finals and whatnot, but like if you take the team accolades away, he has just been relied upon to play the other team's best player, and a lot of those matches on paper are going to favor that other player, and he's the one getting the W. So really impressed with Bananakin all SFL long. So then we did have the best of one because of that, because as he's saying, he gets the 3 out of 5 set on NL. And we got Mono versus DCQ, the DJ versus the JP. DCQ is never somebody I want to see in a best of one. I did feel like Mono played a little bit passively in the first round. Like there was a kind of moment where I think, let me see, he also got hit by the drive rush grab into stand heavy kick setup twice. Yeah, like right there was the first
I literally
time.
had that. Yeah. I just put jab into roundhouse is pretty powerful. It seems obviously it's one of those things where if you press a slow enough button on like a throw trap situation, it will automatically catch like the latex.
Yeah,
and that's exactly like what I love about using that heavy kick, because obviously if you get a counter hit, it's going to lead to big damage also. So
Yeah, it's super good usage from him. And it felt like Mono had a lot of respect for the crouch medium punch. I felt like there was a couple of drive rushes where he like wasn't fully committing. Like he did drive rush into sway or drive rush into nothing. And it was like, I think out of respect for that crouch medium punch, but DCQ wasn't actually doing it much. Like we usually see it in response, but for whatever reason, DCQ was not looking to check the drive rush and they say, yeah, like right there, right, the drive rush sway. And it's smart because usually the JPs do that, but DCQ just wasn't biting. It was strange.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't want to play that mini game, right? Like, I'd rather take the throw if he goes for a tick throw off of drive rush jab than, you know, lose 40% to get it just cooled. So it's kind of nice. I like that, especially when you got the life, especially in a first to one.
Yeah, in a first to one.
It's probably better off playing like the high percentage plays, you know?
Yeah. I thought this combo was super sick, the teleport.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
I think I got that as well. Get these conversions. And I think it's important. Again, I've talked about this before, but you need to have like, just do it right now. Just lab a punish for when a JP teleports. Yeah. Because you need to show that, okay, if they do it, they mess up, rather than like, oh, I just anti-air them and it's just like a big jump in. Like, you should take full advantage if they teleport, because it is annoying, like when they teleport and like punish counter you or like parry attempts and things like that. So you need to show that like you're not afraid to like punish it.
Exactly. So the last note I have here is that I think it was off this situation actually. Yeah, I said DCQ needs to be changed to NFG for no fucks given, because on this Sunrise Hill he's just like, I'm pressing buttons and he converts to level 3. And but to be fair, so I did remember afterwards that when you stand block the Sunrise Hill, it is only +1 instead of +2. So I think that also gave him a little bit more confidence to press in the scenario. But nonetheless, did press on the plus frames, and he pretty much rode that to victory here. Yeah.
It's just, that's what comes with like the frame data in this game, right? +1 in other games might have meant a little bit more, because you could do, you know, you crouch strong and then you +2, and then you can make up a little distance and then you can frame trap or something. Whereas now it's like from that distance, you're +1. You do your jab, which is at max range. Your second jab won't reach, so then your pressure's over. So like, you're not in throw range, so your opponent's almost like got the upper hand in that situation. Yeah. Because they can play RPS a little bit better.
Yeah, that was definitely good stuff. Good recognition from DCQ right there. And then we had Bandits versus Nasser. We added once again here. We had Chris T versus Big Bird. I was really impressed with the way Chris T played in this set, honestly. I think he played really clean, meter efficient. There was a really dope like punish counter crouch medium kick directly into level 1 super to like side switch in the corner while still keeping a lot of his drive meter. I thought he checked the whirlwind strings well. There was a dragon lash that went over a whirlwind. He jumped over a whirlwind. And he kind of like abused the burnout frame data in the set. I just thought he played really well.
Yeah. Like the first thing I wanted to highlight as well, though, is if you jump back to like 2-12-10, so right in the first knockdown, really. But right here, you know, I think he gets the hit. It was before this. My bad. It's coming up. But basically, you know, Rashid's got that really powerful like meaty projectile low-key, but it's super reactable. Like you just ODDP that, but he only does it because Chris T has less than 2 bars. So like if he chooses the ODDP, he's happy with that because he's gonna be put in burnout. But he's almost tempting you to do it because it's like, oh come on, you can see me start up with my really long, you know, recovery move that's gonna put you into a long ass block string. But yeah, I like it because you'll see him like he does it like one other time where he's not got the drive gauge to like DP. Yeah. And to be fair, Christine DP's at that point. So
yeah. And I like this from Big Bird to him this first round. Actually, was the whirlwind. He does the super jump right. He kind of gets away with it here. So he sets it up again, and he's like, all right, well, Chris T's not going to let me get away with something like that again, right? So he does the OD Eagle Spike, and he's like, yeah, answer this instead. And the OD Eagle Spike with the air current is projectile invul as well. So it's just like, even if you throw a fireball here, it's going to get eaten up. I like the way he ended that round.
Yeah, it's good. And like, obviously, it's safe on block, I think, as well. You know, you think you got perfect parry, that's about it, to get punish on the OD enhanced Eagle Spike.
So yeah, that was dope. I really like that. And then but besides that though, I thought that was the Dragon Lash going over the whirlwind that I talked about. I thought that was dope. The main thing I really want to highlight here is like one thing and then the ender. So like this right here, to jump to 214 off this safe jump. This was like one of those things, you know, we talk about kind of committing to timing to punish lights because this is one of those moments where you're trying to react to it a little bit more rather than commit. And we've talked about the downsides and the pros and whatnot. And sometimes when you commit to a timing, that leaves you susceptible to them jumping. If they immediately jump, then they're going to catch the recovery of your button and punish. So this is a bit safer to do it. But like if you're going to try to do it with a heavy button, it's really hard to do on reaction, right? Maybe if he pressed like a medium punch or something like that, he would have gotten it in time. But yeah, it definitely tough. So that was one of the things I wanted to highlight. And then like the end of the set. So do you have anything that you wanted to
nah, I mean, like I said, Chris T was playing really well. He defended against Saar like incredibly well. I feel like compared to most of the mines, like right here, this is a specific situation. Like he gets out of here like completely scot-free. So at 2 bars, he was in burnout for all of that. Checks the overextension, because at that point Big Bird's like, well, I got nothing off of that. I got to do something. And then at that exact moment when Chris T chooses the challenge, and yeah, that's like where he was playing so clean. I think like not many people were blocking that in burnout. I'm not gonna lie. And getting out scot-free. But my only other note basically was like, what the hell is Cabba saying, man? Like, is this star player speech or something? Like, my God is popping off this entire set, like this entire 3 sets, I should say. I loved it. Honestly, I loved the energy. It was so good.
It was so funny. There's like a YouTube video out on the Birds YouTube right now that is like, don't piss these guys off, and in the thumbnail it's Punk and Cabba, and I'm like, oh my God,
no. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that.
And so this was the abuse on the burnout frame advantage. Usually that overhead is -3. It's +1 in burnout, so he just does the light kick buffer behind it with the Jinrai, and yeah, Chris takes it home very, very clean fashion for sure. And then, yes, we got to, to be honest with you, I'm going to keep it a buck. I didn't even watch this set. I've only seen the interview after. But I imagine it's
to be fair, I didn't have very much to talk about this set. I watched it. I was like, I mean, it's just Punk being Punk. I think like my biggest thing was like, hey, when we watched Punk versus PR Balrog, and PR Balrog like kind of almost smoked Punk, and the only thing really he was missing was anti-airs. It felt like Xiaohai was playing like PR Balrog did, but with the anti-airs. So he was reacting to all of Punk's jumps, which was pretty sick.
Okay.
But obviously his neutral game just wasn't quite there. And his defense for sure, he basically just never teched. And I feel like against someone like Punk, you can't show him that you'll never tech. Because he's just either going to get your reversal timing down, because that's the only other defensive option you're choosing. So, it's one of those things where it doesn't work against a player like Punk. Yeah. Because he's gonna sniff that out really quick.
You have to show him as many options as possible, because he's gonna hone in and he's gonna pick up on your rhythm with the options you do. So if there's only a couple of them, like, it's not gonna last.
The only reversal, it just doesn't work, man. You gotta choose the tech. You gotta choose the backdash. He does jump back at one point, which is nice, but doesn't really see it again. And yeah, this is a hell of a set.
Indeed.
I mean,
let me see the player cam here. Look, he's talking. He was already talking to the player cam over there. Obviously, the pop. I love
it. He's like, what are you sitting down for? What are you sitting down for? Stand up. It's over, bro. It's over. Get up.
He's like, the match is done, bro. Like, what are you talking about? The match is done.
Fun games.
That was beast, bro. That was so beast.
Are you nervous? Are you nervous, Xiaohai? I love Punk, bro. It's it was good. And I love though that when he asked him if he was nervous, Punk then repeat. Come on.
Oh man.
The double P, that was kind of unnecessary. But in that round he lost in that game, he did kind of get washed up because he did wake up triple DP 3 times in a row, and each one got baited. And it was just like, not Punk, not like this. And then the next round he pees him. So that's just the mentality that Punk's on. You just can't beat this guy. He's still 100% win rate, by the way. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Wow. And it's one of those things too where it's like like you mentioned, right? Like especially when he's got a vendetta against the player, which we obviously learned about in the interview. Like he's gonna do stuff like that where it's like 3 ODDPs in a row. He don't care if you bait them out the whole time. Like he's like just here to send a message, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you that game, and then like you said, he just comes back with a perfect, just to be like, don't think you know anything because you got that last round and you baited my DPs.
Yeah. So Christie's such a good teammate though. Like he was trying to keep Xiaohai under control, and even Mena here as well. Because I mean, the Nassau just do not let up either with the smack talk and all that during this set. So this is also another banging set.
And after that win, right? Like the momentum on their side is out of control. Like Punk is just like everybody on that squad now is electric. They're hyped up. They're like, nah, we're about to get it popping. So, of course, this is the last set. Mena RD versus Angry Bird. I didn't get a chance to go over this one as closely as I wanted to. But I did see a couple of dope things. There was like a Mena RD sequence in the corner here while he was still playing Blanca where he did like triple crouch jab and it actually left him outside of range of crouch medium kick and he got a clean punish on that. So there was dope stuff from both sides. There was a
it's at 29.55 if you want to jump to it.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
We talk about the triple jab pressure a lot. We talked about how to actually use it well, and this is another way of using it extremely well, which is like, as you just mentioned, you do the triple lights, and then you can walk back out of range as long as you know the ranges. Boom. You can get these whiff punishes on easy button timings.
I like how Kaba doesn't have the mic down. He's like, they can hear me. I don't need the mic to be out of my mouth.
Yeah, he doesn't need that projecting through the stream. I think that's the whole point. I want to say like maybe he got told off at some point because like he never puts it down. So production were like, hey, stop it, bro. We can't hear the game.
We can't hear anything,
because he did not stop talking, man. And Kaba is like a 5-star voice actor. What the hell? This guy was when he was screaming, you know, like the meme of like men turn into like 5 like, you know, professional voice actors when they die in a video game. It was like men turn into professional voice actors when Mena RD land 3 throws in a row. You know, my guy was going crazy.
Oh my god! So we saw Angry Bird take the first game, and then Luke for the rest of the set for Mena RD, right?
Yeah.
Clean switch up. I mean, it forced the final round scenario. Both of these guys are just world class, 2 of the best players in the world. I don't think anybody expected anything but them going to the final round.
Like that moment as well, right? Because perfect parried the Sandblaster.
Yeah.
And then like at some ranges that's a punish, right?
Yeah.
But what I like from Mena RD is that he just sends the perfect parry anyway.
Exactly.
Because either way he gets punished or he perfect parries the punish attempt. Yep. And it worked out in that way. Got the perfect parry punish. So
we talk about that concept all the time. Most notably with like the jumps, right? Like if somebody jumps your fireball, you might as well DP because you're either getting punished or you're gonna get the DP out. So the same concept applies.
Yeah, there weren't honestly like that many like crazy moments. I mean, this set was just really good in general.
They're just super strong players, 100%.
But we see these guys play against each other so many times. Of course, Evo champion, the Evo runner-up. So I just felt like to me. Sorry, go
ahead. I was just gonna ask you.
I was gonna say to me like Mena is like the way he's playing is so like intimidating. He's like, especially for a player like him, when he's being extremely patient and waiting for you. It's scary because like normally you're waiting for him, you know?
Yeah.
And so at some point you know he's gonna crack, but like you just don't know when, you know.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So do you have any timestamps you want to get to or anything like that at the moment?
I got one at 2:33:05. Just it was just goddamn crouch medium punch, but
it was right here actually 2:33:05.
Was it this one? My days.
The money button.
Don't need to speak about that one. That is $1 million in the waiting room right there, bro. Holy moly.
That was beautiful stuff, yeah. And then I watched a little bit closely in the last game. I thought the last game was really good from both sides, obviously.
Yeah.
Again, just coming down to the wire, both players playing super well. There's a couple of moments that I can't specifically remember right now, but they might come back to me as we watch. But yeah, man, and both of these guys are top level. I think favorites going into Capcom Cup, both of them.
Yeah, both qualified. Luckily, Mena RD, third time's a charm, worked for Chris Wong. It worked for Mena RD, so.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that I'm thinking of is that, like, so US East still has their online premiere to go. Obviously, Mena made it in the World Warrior. So the favorites, I think in a lot of people's minds, are Punk and Do. I'm scared of that Banana Ken, bro. Banana Ken, if he's on it that day, he could definitely take it.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think, like, especially if it's like Banana Ken up against Knuckle Do, whatever grand finals, or something unfortunate happens to Punk.
Yeah.
He's got a great chance. Obviously, against Cammy, like, might be less of a chance. But, you know, you got to let the bracket line up in the right way, and there we go.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be the potassium goat going to Capcom Cup.
Oh, so yeah, this was actually a really sick round from Angry Bird, right? And man, this is one of the things that I want to talk about that I remember now is that there's so often, I bring it up all the time on commentary. I think I brought it up on this show plenty of times, where when I see people drive rush out of the corner for pressure, it's always back throw. They always back throw the person.
Biggest threat.
Yeah, they're like, I'm switching the sides, I'm doing all of that. And Angry Bird's like, no, bro. And Mena's like, nah, you're not back throwing me. Angry Bird not looking for that whatsoever. Burns him out off this and then rides that burnout to a great comeback. I was like, man, Angry Bird. Both of these guys are so good. Yeah, jumps to level 2 right there. Gets the clean punish. I was like, you guys are ridiculous.
Yeah, taking us to the game 5. And again, I don't know how it's lining up so far for playoffs. I'm pretty sure both these teams will make it to the playoffs. But again, another important match because they're both number 1 and 2 right now. So that'll definitely do something for the season.
Yeah, and because it played out the way it did, right, that was like a big 30-10 for Nasser instead of like a 30-20 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever it could be. Oh, that was sick too. Like to punish the money button to end it. Oh,
yeah, that's how you beat. You just gotta whiff punish a move with only like 21 recovery frames. Or what's the meme? I can't remember. 16? Is it 16 recovery frames? 16 active frames. My bad.
Yeah, the 19 active frames, I believe.
That's so funny. But yeah, I mean that was a really sick set, and then considering how it was going at the beginning for Mena RD to bring it back and take us to game 5, it was good.
Yeah, definitely. Another great week of SFL from the U.S., right? We got Europe going on now as well. Japan's wrapping up. I think they're getting to the playoff stage if they're not already there. So, yeah, man, we got great Street Fighter all around. You got any things on your mind to wrap up this week?
No, it's going to be back. Obviously, we're trying not to miss too many more episodes. So last week, a bit of an exception. But I'm pretty big chilling now until January. Got like no events or anything. So I got plenty of time.
All right, my man. Looking forward to it. We'll see y'all next week for another edition. Until then, be good to yourselves and be good to each other. See you soon.